All right, so you've started climbing, and you're probably feeling that awesome buzz of getting stronger. But you might also be noticing some new little aches and pains, especially in your fingers. Well, in this session, we're going to talk about one of the most crucial skills you can learn, how to choose the right grip. This is honestly the key to climbing harder and for longer, all while protecting your most important tools, your hands.
And don't just take my word for it. This quote from pro climber Dave McLeod, it really hits home. He used to get 3 serious injuries a year. Think about that. That's a ton of time spent recovering, not climbing. His story really cuts to the core of what we're talking about today. Making smart choices with your grip is absolutely essential if you want to have a long, happy climbing life.
So here's the main idea, the big takeaway. How you decide to grab a hold isn't just about whether or not you can hang on. It's a fundamental skill that has a massive impact on both how well you climb and your risk of getting hurt. Learning to choose your grip wisely, it's just as important as good footwork. It's a total game changer.
Okay, first things first. Let's get our language straight so we're all on the same page. When you look at a climbing wall, you just see a bunch of colorful shapes, right? Well, let's break them down into the 5 basic types of holds you'll find pretty much everywhere. Think of this as your climbing toolkit.
So you've got jugs. Those are the big, friendly, bucket-like holds you love to see. Then you have edges, which are just what they sound like, ledges that can be huge or super tiny. Next up, slopers. Those rounded, tricky holds where you really have to rely on friction. Then there are pinches, which you have to actively squeeze with your thumb. And finally, pockets, which are basically just holes. Knowing the basics of how to tackle each one is step 1.
All right, now let's zoom in and focus on edges. Why edges? Because this is where you're going to make your most critical grip decisions. This is where the real difference between a safe grip and a risky one becomes super clear. On any edge, you basically have 3 main ways you can hold on.
First up, and this should be your new best friend, is the open hand grip. Some people call it a drag. Just look at how the fingers are draped over the hold. It's a natural, relaxed curve. The middle knuckle isn't bent sharply at all. This position puts the absolute least amount of stress on all the delicate little parts inside your finger. I want you to think of this as your default setting. It's your go-to, safest grip.
Next, we have the half crimp, and you can see the key difference right away, can't you? That middle joint is now bent at about a 90-degree angle. It kind of looks like you're grabbing the rung of a ladder. Now, this position gives you a lot more strength and control, especially on smaller edges. It's a super useful tool to have, but you can see that sharper angle means more stress on your fingers.
And finally, we have the full crimp. This is the power grip. The middle joints are bent even more. The tips of your fingers might even bend backward a little bit, and this is the crucial part, the thumb wraps over the top of your index finger to lock everything down. This gives you maximum pulling power, but it comes at a very high price. This is by far the most stressful and riskiest grip for your fingers.
So let's just lay it all out, side by side. Open hand, that's your safest bet, your default. Half crimp, that's your moderate risk option, great for when you need a little extra power. And the full crimp, that's high risk. That's your break glass in case of emergency grip. As someone starting out, you want to live in that safest column as much as humanly possible. Okay, so I've been telling you over and over that crimping is more dangerous. But why? What's actually going on inside your finger that makes one grip so much riskier? Let's take a quick look at some super simple biomechanics. No need to be a doctor, I promise.
This really is the million-dollar question. And the answer has everything to do with these tiny but incredibly important little structures in your fingers that are working like crazy every time you pull on a hold.
I want you to meet your finger pulleys. So the muscles that curl your fingers are actually in your forearm, and they're connected to your fingertips by long ropes called tendons. These pulleys are tiny little ligaments that act like the eyelets on a fishing rod. They hold the tendon down close to the bone. Without them, the tendon would just pull straight away from the bone like a bowstring, and you wouldn't be able to bend your finger. They're critical.
Now get ready for this, because this number is just wild. Scientists have actually measured the forces on these pulleys, especially the main one that climbers injure, called the A2 pulley. When you switch from a relaxed, open-hand grip to a locked-off full crimp, the force on that tiny pulley can increase by over 30 times. Not 30%, 30 times.
And this chart just says it all, doesn't it? Look at that difference. The tiny little bar on the left, that's the force from an open hand grip. That giant skyscraper on the right, that's the force from a full crimp. You are asking that tiny little ligament to handle a ridiculously bigger load.
This is exactly why climber's finger, a pulley injury, is so common, and it's almost always from crimping too hard too often.
All right, enough of this scary science. Let's get practical. Knowing the risks is one thing, but how do you actually apply all this when you're on the wall, you're getting tired, and you're trying to send your project? Let's build a smart, simple strategy.
Here's your game plan for the basic holds. On jugs, chill out. Don't death grip them. Practice just hooking them and hanging. On edges, your mantra is open hand first. Always try that before you even think about crimping. For slopers, it's all about surface area. Get as much skin on that hold as you can and use your body position to create friction. For pinches, squeeze with your whole hand, not just your fingertips. Get that thumb involved. And for pockets, use your two strongest fingers, which for most people are the middle and ring fingers together.
And here are 4 golden rules, non-negotiable. 1. Always warm up. Don't just jump on tiny holds. 2. Always ask yourself, can I hold this with an easier grip? Start open-handed. Only increase the intensity if you have to. 3. Your fingers are most vulnerable when you're cold or exhausted. That is not the time to be yanking on tiny crimps. And 4, the most important one, listen to your body. A sharp pain or an audible pop is a massive red flag. Stop immediately and get some advice.
Okay, so all this knowledge is great, but to really make it stick, you've got to practice it until it becomes second nature. So let's wrap up with a few really simple drills you can weave into your next session to build these smarter, safer habits.
Give these a try next time you're at the gym. First, pick a route that's super easy for you and climb it using only an open hand grip on every single edge. This will build both strength and, more importantly, confidence in that safe position. Second, whenever you're resting on a big jug, actively think about relaxing your grip, like how little can you squeeze and still stay on the wall. And finally, just on the ground, gently make an open hand, then a half crimp, then a full crimp. Don't pull hard, just feel the difference in tension. It's all about building that awareness.
So, if you only remember 2 things today, let it be these. First, your open hand is your best friend for staying healthy. You gotta learn to love it, and crucially, learn to trust it. And second, remember that getting better at climbing isn't always about having stronger fingers. So often, it's about getting your body in a better position so your fingers don't have to work nearly as hard.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. The next time you're on the wall and you reach for a hold, just take half a second to think. Are you just grabbing it any old way? Or are you making a conscious, smart choice? Because the path to getting better long-term, it's not just about pulling harder, it's about climbing smarter. Thanks so much for tuning in.